Hey, give thanks for life. Give thanks for life. Oh, chimney, chimney. Today my rise like the sunrise, my bright and my upright. No one can break my fight.
Hello, this is Dr. Sam Christian with you once again on Strong and Healthy. Dominic, I'm here with Ms. Annette Henry and also Algernon Philbert Annette from Maho, Algernon from Loda, that's right. And we're here, you know, Maria tried us a little something on us, but we're still standing. And I just want to say congratulations to CBN4, standing like a rock, clap, 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 for your good work. And resilience, I think, is a very common word being used nowadays, to be here, and thank you for having us. We have in our hands purple balloons. It's the Advent season, it's the Christmas, and we're not here to play with the balloons, but actually to symbolize those who were lost during this tragic disaster. And we're going to take the time to read out the names of every single confirmed dead and missing person that we know of here in Dominica. From the community of Dodan, we have Alfred Magloire, Jennifer Moulin, and Anthony Banis, aka Rasta. They are confirmed dead, while missing are Rita Magloire and Vitus of Paybush. In Lubier, confirmed dead is 10-year-old Yakira Joseph, whom I had the misfortune of having to pronounce her dead on my way to Roseau after the hurricane. And missing are Destiny Joseph, Yvonne Privot, Myrtle Celler, Cleve Leblanc, Jerry Lafleur, Annie Simon, and Ronnie Jolly of Petit Savan. In Fort-Bawon, Gloria Eli Prosper is confirmed dead, and 1-year-old Jaden John Baptist is still missing. In the community of Maho, Annette, Alicius Joseph and Lee alias Dig are dead. In Cassibruce, Laron Roberts of Maho and Alexis Laville of Penville have died. Also confirmed dead are Peter Regist of Tarish Pit, Emmanuel Joseph of Fonkole, and Daminel Ishmael of Stock Farm, and John Thomas and Ivan Jules of Montbruce, Arilla Henry of Marigot, Janet Canoville of Bells living in Grand Fort, Teresa Frederick of Dublin, Lucy Thomas of Scott's Head, and Whitfield Wallace of Woodford Hill, confirmed missing in the Roseau, and Minel Moneto, Jeffrey Menero, Edmund Charles, Sharon Francis, and John Louis Fountain also confirmed missing. Peter Lewis in Canefield, Vania Woodman in Bath Estate, Marcus Boyd in Castle Comfort, Jopfer Christopher, 6-year-old in Portersville, and Christine Thomas in Savanpai. Police have said that they have been unable to identify the bodies of 5 people. 4 are confirmed dead in Point Michel and 13 missing. Point Michel, where I now reside, just about 50 yards or less from that ravine in Point Michel, where we have most of the dead and missing. Those deceased are named Royston Toussaint, Murray Delmore, Veronica Peltier, Glenn Alexander. Missing from Point Michel are Randolph Randy Charles, Philipson Renault, Anne Lando, Maureen Lando, Nadora Williams, Garvin Francis, Jerome Daniel, Jaelia Lawrence, Jodpin Daniel, Edith Fountain, Nashon Atidor, the bus driver, and his colleagues who were entrapped in a building for 5 weeks after the hurricane before they were extricated, their remains. Dari Grove of Vekas and Joanne Francis. 4 are confirmed dead from the community of Granby. They are Yvette Leatham, Okan Leighton, Jennifer Bonney, and missing from that community is Alpheus Maxim. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have these balloons to symbolize the souls of those missing. Our leaders will come together and have a formal national memorial service. We're going to be hitting on the theme of unity. Unity at all costs, unity until it hurts. But we have a monumental task ahead of us, and we're going to do our level best to meet that challenge here in Dominica. So, I have the great pleasure of having with me 2 ordinary people. We didn't want the experts to tell us what we've heard before, but we just wanted the experiences, not necessarily personal experiences, but what Hurricane Maria did to them and to their communities. And on my right here is Algernon Philbert. Yeah. And Algernon is a patient of mine. And Algernon, you are not somebody who's self-conscious. People can see that you look a little different. Before we talk about the hurricane, your medical problem, it's not a very common problem. What's going on with you, Algernon? Could you tell our viewers?
Well, my doctor, Dr. Pascal, told me that I had a parotid tumor. This I have had since, it's roughly about 7 years. I did 2 surgeries here at the Princess Margaret Hospital. Dr. Pascal conducted the surgery, and then I moved further on to Barbados to see if I could get rid of this tumor. Unfortunately, it's still with me. I did some radiation in Barbados, and I was told eventually that if they had to do the surgery, which is radical surgery, then they would have to tie off my carotid artery, and that I had a 90% chance of having a stroke.
Carotid artery, tell us about the anatomy. What does the carotid artery do?
Well, the carotid artery transports oxygenated blood to the brain, I think, you know. And so, as the doctor in Barbados said that if they had to do the surgery to remove the bulk, they would have to tie the carotid artery off. Hence, lack of oxygen to the brain, and I would end up with a stroke.
Well, you have 2 carotid arteries, one on the left side and one on the right side.
Well, this one is the left.
That's right. So if that would be a problem for you. But I just want to, big up Algernon. He's a national hero, by the way. He's a man who has been through the thick and thin. Your background is as a manager in the fisheries department. So you served our country well for 27 years, thereabout, in that department.
In that department.
And tell us what you did during that time.
Well, during that time, I was the team leader of the dive team in fisheries.
Okay.
So this is one of the things that I really love to do. I love diving, scuba diving.
Yes,
I'm a certified scuba diver.
Okay.
And at the time, what I did when I was in fisheries was we looked at all the coral reefs, because what we wanted to do was to establish marine protected areas. We looked at coral reefs, we looked at the impact of quarries on the marine environment to see what was happening with our reefs, because we don't have very extensive reefs in Dominica, but we do have patched reefs.
Okay.
And our work was mainly along the west coast.
You
know, I did very little work on the east coast.
Okay.
but more on the west coast.
Understandably because of the Atlantic Ocean being rougher and everything like that.
That's
We're going
right.
to come back to that because we don't want Annette to feel left out. No, Annette has consented to be here, and we're so glad that she was able to do this at short notice, both of them actually. And Annette, could you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Okay, my name is Annette Henry. One of the staff on Caritas Antilles team. And what is Caritas? What does Caritas mean? Caritas is love in action. Now, Caritas Internationalis is a confederation of 165 Catholic relief, development, and social service organizations operating in over 200 countries worldwide. Collectively and individually, their claimed mission is to work to build a better world, especially for the poor and the oppressed. The first Caritas organization was established by Lawrence Wolfman on November 9th, 1897.
I wasn't born yet. That's way back.
Well, neither was I. I had no idea if I would be conceived. And that was in Germany. Then on, other Caritas organizations were soon formed. And there is one in Switzerland that was formed in 1901. And in the United States, there's the Catholic Charities formed in 1910. Now, each country may take on a different name, but we are all members of Caritas Internationalis. So what does that mean? In Canada, you might hear Development and Peace. In Ireland, you may hear True Care. In the United Kingdom, you will hear the Catholic Agency of Overseas Development, that's CAFOD. And here in the Antilles, Caritas Antilles, which encompasses the Antilles region. So there are offices in countries or islands like Grenada, Antigua, St. Lucia, etc. Now, what does Caritas mean? Caritas is love in action. And Caritas is here because of Maria. I mean, Maria passed, I call her the demonic hurricane. She passed and she devastated our beautiful island. And there was a lot of bad, but at the same time, I think Maria brought in good people. All the international relief organizations that are here helping us. I mean, I remember when I unlocked my door and I got out and I saw the devastation, I just broke down and I started to cry because I just could not handle this. But then after a couple hours or so, then I saw this small plane because I lived where I can see all the planes coming in through Canefield. So I saw this small plane coming in. I say, okay, there's hope. And then I saw this helicopter coming again. I say, wow, they all landed. That's good. So there was hope after that. But there are a lot of organizations here helping us and doing good things for different communities. And Caritas Antilles, our intervention is in the southeast of the island. So communities that we are working with is Granby, Tetmon, Bordeaux, Montine, those areas. Yes, Caritas would like to help everybody, but we can't. Based on our budget, we can only do so much. So we are here to provide shelter kits to families who were badly devastated, and also shelters, transitional shelters, for those homes that were totally damaged. So we can provide for now about 80 shelters and about approximately 100 shelter kits. Now, what do we mean by shelter kits? We're going to provide the families with building materials. So they will get lumber, they will get the CGI, which what we call galvanized here, and the screws to do their repairs themselves. But for the shelters, we're going to provide them with the materials so they can construct their building. I mean, there's a certain size to what they can build. We have 7 staff at our office, and we also have like about 23 social mobilizers. So what the mobilizers do, they go out to the Granby community and they do assessment. So they come back with those information and we work with that So we will select who are the families, those that are most vulnerable to reach out to. Now, to do that...
Let me interrupt you 1 second, and you've been doing simply magnificently. I think we've learned a lot about Caritas that we did not know. As far as people want to know a little bit about you. We were talking as we were coming down that you were a scout, weren't you?
I was.
And so was I. And, we had a little bit of anxiety about the program, and they say we are always prepared as a scout. We smile and whistle under all difficulties. And she was a guide. Which, in Maho? In
Maho, yes.
Yes. So that you was maybe as a teenager, like when 10?
Well, I started...
Were you a brownie before?
No, I did not do brownie, but I started as a guide probably in the early teens. And I went on to Rangers, and after that, you grow, you start to work, and but for a couple of years, not long ago, I was part of the executive of the Girl Guides Association in Dominica.
Fantastic. And you went to Convent High School?
Yes, I did.
And your background is?
My work background, I do mostly accounting.
Accounting.
Yes.
And that's your role with regards to the
yes,
Caritas?
Yes, at Caritas, I am the finance officer.
Money. Making sure that everything is accounted for.
Well, yes,
in a proper fashion.
Somebody has to do the job. So.
Okay, that's wonderful.
I am grateful that I was selected.
Okay, very good. And we want to come back and talk about Caritas and the great work they are doing in the Grand Bay area, certainly. But we were talking, Algernon and I, about the ecosystem in the valley.
Yes.
And the hurricane itself. Who was with you during the time of the storm? Because some people were alone, and I think they suffered more post-traumatic stress than those people who had family members and friends or neighbors with them.
Well, at the time of the hurricane, there were 5 of us in the house. My 2 sons, my wife, one of my son's girlfriend, and myself. And we all took shelter in one room, one of my son's room. But our roof stayed on. We didn't lose the roof.
A galvanized roof.
Yeah, it was a galvanized roof, but we didn't lose the roof. And we all went into that one room because it was wow. I don't even know how to describe it. But during the course of the night, with all this wind coming in, then I heard a big noise, and the doors went out, and then water started coming in and so on. But praise God, in that room, no water came in, absolutely no water. The nice thing about it is that I had the experience of Hurricane David. And so everybody, well, my wife and myself, but the younger ones, my sons and the girlfriend, they hadn't seen anything like this before. So I had to be calming them down, and explaining to them what was going to happen and so on, because when the eye was passing off, there was a lull, and everybody thought, well, the younger ones, they thought that it was all over. And I said, oh, no, we can't go any place. Let's just sit here and wait, because there's a backlash to come. And then, lo and behold, maybe about 5 minutes after I explained what was going to happen, then there came this rush of wind again,
Mighty rushing wind.
Yeah, that was after the eye passed, know. That was the tail of what we consider the tail of the hurricane, It lasted for a while, but we all stayed in that room and nothing happened to anybody. However, some of my appliances were, just gone, on my computer. Some glass windows got broken, my doors, I lost 3 doors, it just blew them away, But eventually, well, it was just about daybreak, and then we came out and started trying to assess what had happened, and so on. Then we called that everybody started calming down, because the younger ones were quite, excited and, really nervous, about the whole situation, I'm just saying, thank God, you know, I had experienced Hurricane David, so I was much more calm.
Well, you're a man who has faced danger in the
Yes,
past.
yes.
I will come back to the hurricane, but you made national history back in May 1979.
Yes, in May 1979, I got shot when we had this demonstration against the government of the day. I spent some time at the hospital.
But you were describing when you first came to the crowd. You were coming towards the front of the crowd. You did not know what was going on. Is that correct? Or
well, not that I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was happening on the other street.
on the other street, yes.
You know,
Okay.
But I was walking towards government headquarters, walking up Bath Road, walking north in the northward direction, and I saw there was a huge crowd, and I was just trying to fight my way through the crowd, you know, find my way and trying to see what was happening on Kennedy Avenue, which is the other street that I spoke about. And as soon as I got to the front of it, I just felt this burning sensation in my leg, and that was it. But luckily for me, I spun around, and there was a cousin of mine, and he just grabbed me and started moving out of me. And then when I put my left foot on the ground, I just felt a shocking sensation, so I couldn't touch the ground with that foot. So I had to be hopping. We hopped our way to...
But when you said you were shot in the leg, actually,
well,
that was
in the thigh,
very
thigh,
close
yeah,
to...
very, very, very close. In the
some
right up in the
vital
thigh, to, yeah.
areas.
My genitals, you could say.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh my God.
Very, very close.
And you were hospitalized for
I
how
was
long?
hospitalized for 33 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you survived to tell the story.
I survived.
By the grace of God.
Story. Thank you very much. Praise
Yes.
God for that. Yeah.
Well, you're a patriot. You're somebody who's concerned about his country, and you know there are times when sometimes we have to do what we have to do. Not that you came with the intention to stop a bullet or anything.
No,
like that,
no, not at all.
Neither did any of us were here to try to be victims of Maria. We all tracked it as it was coming down.
That's right.
And Annette, when did you hear about how bad it was going to be on that day, the 19th of September, isn't
It
it?
was the 18th of
18th,
September.
18th.
Voila.
Actually, I had screenshots from my niece in Miami and also my brother. So it's like when I saw Dominica was engulfed in red, I think my whole demeanor changed for that day because I knew something really terrible was coming towards us. That was about like, what, probably after 5.
And the hurricane had paused and to gather strength. It went from what, category what to category?
I think we were expecting like a category 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I mean, that thing just came upon us because from Saturday to Monday with that devastation.
It was awesome. Awful. You know, I had a close friend and neighbor who in Didi Lane where I grew up, who was by herself downstairs, and Annette, as a matter of fact, and she went through that all by herself, and 2 days later she had a massive heart attack. She was evacuated, but did not survive. And so we read the names of the dead and missing, and most of these people succumbed to drowning or, you know, collapsed buildings and so forth. But the stress and the delayed effect of the hurricane is still very much with us. And we've seen so many instances of that. A couple in Scott's Head, their house and family and vehicle was completely demolished, and they never quite got over it. And the husband eventually got a stroke, and I was asked to see him. I did see him. We did the best for him and the family as well, and the following morning he was gone. And so it was a very sad time, a very difficult time for all of us. I remember sending out a voicemail maybe around 10 o'clock. I'm not sure whether that was before I saw that the police headquarters conference room was underwater, or whether that was after we heard that the Prime Minister's roof had gone. Did you hear that before, or the next day?
Well, I heard those reports the next day, because the thing about me is like by 5:30 something, my electricity had gone.
Yes.
So I had Digicel, and it's like I sent a couple texts, and soon after I had absolutely no service.
Well, all kinds of services were knocked down, and for us, you know, it began to leak. And we put a little pot, a little bowl, a little pail here, and then the water started coming in. For the most remarkable thing was how the leaves entered the building. There was leaves splattered on the walls, and I couldn't understand where it came from. It was coming from every crease and cranny and crevice.
They could find,
and you know, then the house began to fill with water. So no more collecting with pails and bowls and pots and pans. You know, it was trying to take the buckets and bail it into the toilet or into the shower or whatever like that. And then, you know, the kids began to sing Bible choruses, and they tried to sing louder than the storm, and I think that helped. It really helped, you know. If I perish, but I'm going to see the King, and all that kind of stuff. And I was exhausted. I was thinking to myself, I wasn't there. For Hurricane David, I was in college in the United States, and all my family was home. For Maria, I was home, and all my family were in the United States. So it was
time for you to get your share.
Yes, indeed, indeed. And after a while, I lay down on the bed, had a baby on my chest, and the roof was beginning to separate. It would go up, go, and separate and come back down. And the chandelier, the fan, ceiling fan was just rattling. And I said to the ceiling, if you have to go, you can go. I was watching the closet there. If that ceiling went, I would run into the closet. The ceiling thought about it a couple of times. It went up, it went down, it went up, it went down. And decided to stay. We had a lot of ceiling damage and a lot of water, but the ceiling stayed. And the hurricane separated Dominica into two classes, the roof and the roofless. You had your roof?
I did, because my roof is concrete for now, yeah.
And your roof stayed on as well?
Stayed, but it's galvanized, but it stayed.
Yeah. I'm checking to see how much time we have, but I want you to tell us about the parrots in Loda.
Well, Doc, to be truthful, I don't know. But compared to the rest of Dominica, in the valley, it's been okay compared to the rest of the group. I mean, we did get a lot of, you know, a lot of the trees, a lot of the forest trees got, you know, messed up. We lost the forest canopy and everything like that. And then, just about 2 or 3 days after, man, jackal parrots just started flying all over the place, you know, because they were disoriented, I guess, and they were in search of food. Yeah. So whatever citrus that was remaining on the trees, man, the parrots just came down and had a field day with that, you know. Up till now, you can see parrots just flying. They came in droves, they came in huge flocks, man, sometimes 30 of them, you know, in certain areas. And I could stay on my porch sometimes and check them just flying by and chirping.
An incredible sight.
And chirping. I've been trying for the longest while to get a photograph, but my camera, it froze on me, and I had to be using my cell phone. And I can tell you, it's a kind of a troublesome thing to get your cell phone to take a photograph of a parrot flying.
Parrots with all their colors, with all their splendor.
Well, the jackal is a very colorful bird, you know. So I have reports of certain persons, but I have only got 3 reports of 3 sightings of the Cicero. But people say, but we see the jackal all the time. Another thing is that in terms of the vegetation, we lost a lot of vegetation on Mount Micotrin because you could stay and see it. But it was mostly the tall trees, you know, and all the canopy, the forest canopy. All the shorter trees, like a lot of the citrus and so on, they had broken branches, and some of them lost a lot of leaves. But you could still see they were sprouting very quickly rapidly after Hurricane Maria. And now, I can even see small fruits. They flowered and then small fruits came back. So I am anticipating an early citrus crop this next summer.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, you know, we have some little clippings here and there, but we certainly, while Dominica moves forward, to begin to keep in mind those who we have lost. You wanted to add something else before we
regarding Caritas. Our goal is for hurricane-affected families in Dominica to be able to recover with dignity. And the objective is to provide affected families with safe shelters, and with addition to the shelters, proper wash facility also.
Fantastic.
So you don't only get like a house, but you get washroom in the house.
Washrooms in the house.
Yes.
And you know, we have to say thank you to all the international agencies from the United Nations and from PAHO, whichever ones that came. Yeah. A lot of them have gone, but organizations like Caritas is still there. We have Samaritan's Purse, which is providing pure drinking water. I think they have 6 units all over the island, and including one at Belfast right next door to Maho.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, and all the Dominicans overseas who have contributed not only to their families, but to organizations who are helping Dominica to rebuild and to bounce back. We want to say thank you. We want to say thank you. I remember after the hurricane, I was taking care of the injured in Point Michel, and the young men who went, when they asked them, I say, how is Roseau? They say, Roseau is finished. I asked, how is Didier Lane, where I grew up? They say, it haven't got Didier Lane again, you know. And the thing is, if you see Dominica now, you know, it's a world of difference, and I just want to commend especially our heavy equipment operators, all the young men and women, the National Employment Program, doing great work, all the volunteers in the local disaster committees, the village councils around, all the people who properly distributed relief supplies. I want to say a big shout out to the nurses and doctors, to the police, to our regional security forces, and especially to our fire and ambulance rescue services. Did a magnificent job. And all the pastors and priests and all the organizations like Caritas who continue to endure, abide, and provide the kind of work that we need to help strengthen our spirits and our psyches to rebound to where we need to be. Strong and healthy, that's what we're all about. So we give thanks and praise to Almighty, and we want to join in the reading of Psalm 91. A very powerful psalm, don't you think?
Yeah.
It says, he that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in him I will trust. Surely he will deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor the destruction that washeth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thy eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in thy hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him.
I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation.
Amen.
Amen.
Wonderful words. And God has been our refuge and strength, a very present help in time of trouble. I could see some of you out there reciting the psalm with us. And I can tell you, we know the psalm by heart, but we were reading it. We were reading it to be right on target. And no, it's a joy having you to share this program with us, and for all the people who are suffering housing difficulties, people who are suffering post-traumatic stress. A lot of patients had their medicines washed away and so forth. The hospital took a direct hit. We are coming back in a big way. Just hold on, be strong, and let's stay united. Let's stay focused on rebuilding this country. And this will be the stuff that legend is made when we talk to our children and our grandchildren about Hurricane Maria. Any parting words?
Well, I just want to say, as you said before, Doc, that we should all be very strong now. Because, I mean, we have to rebuild Dominica. And as you say, there's a word now that is being spread all around, resilient.
Resilient.
So
yes.
I think we should be a very resilient people, and we should try our utmost to make sure that we bring Dominica back to where we can be a happy people again, you know.
Absolutely. And thanks for Caritas and all the great work that you're doing. Annette.
Okay, on behalf of Caritas, I would like to extend our condolences to the families who have lost members of the families and friends during the passage of Maria. We know that it is a trying time, a difficult time for them, but we also pray that they find strength and hope in the Lord. God has never failed us. He will always be there for us.
Amen. Thank you for listening.
Hey, give thanks for life. Give thanks for life. Oh, chimney, chimney. Today my rise like the sunrise, my bright and my upright. No one can break my vibes.